Welcome to Star Citizen and the Esperia Prowler ship guide. In this modular guide, we go into detail about a modernized version of the infamous Tevarin armored dropship adapted by Esperia for the human market, the Esperia Prowler. After some delays, the Prowler was implemented into the game with Alpha 3.9, initially presenting itself as enormously powerful and agile. After various adjustments and balancing measures, however, we received the Prowler, to which we devote ourselves in this video. We get to the bottom of the question of whether this dropship, which is anything but cheap, is worth it and where its strengths and weaknesses lie. And as in every guide, you can jump directly to the parts that are of interest to you, or which you would like to see again, using the timestamps in the video. But first of all, a big thank you to the true ladies and gentlemen who make this video possible with their support as Patreons, channel members or Twitch subscribers. Thank you! We start with the exterior and the technical data, before we move on to the interior, the various possible uses and, of course, a conclusion. With a length of 34 meters, a width of 32 and a height of 50 meters, the Prowler is classified as a medium-sized dropship, which can boast above average speed values in this range, but offers significantly below average hit points, which at just under 22k are far below other dropships. However, the Prowler is also a stealth dropship, which is reflected in the size 2 stealth components. Noteworthy are the two Sukuran alien shields, which can absorb most of the ballistic damage, but are only a placeholder for the originally announced Tevarin phalanx shields, which will be implemented at a later date. Currently, however, components such as shields do not offer any further reductions until the extensive balancing adjustments have been completed. Contrary to other dropships, the Prowler, with its 16 jump stations, does not offer seats, but rather upright seats equipped with clamp locks, which allows troops to be dropped off without delay. However, there is no cargo capacity. For about $440, this bird of prey is anything but cheap and can only be bought for real money at special sales. However, for about 4.2 million Alpha USC on Area 18, we can rather recommend an in-game purchase. The two crew members currently have no access to amenities such as beds or anything else, although there would be space for them on the upper deck, and this has already been discussed by CIG. The armament, with two size 5 hardpoints as well as two size 3 hardpoints as a remote turret usable by the pilot, offer a clearly above average firepower in the area of dropships. In PvE, we recommend switching from size 4 gimbaled ballistic cannons to fixed size 5 laser cannons, whereby the very limited capacitor energy of the Prowler becomes clear in the case of an energy weapon setup. Despite the significantly stronger armament, this is only in the range of a Cutlass or Freelancer. We therefore recommend a ballistic loadout as an alternative, especially for the Prowler, which has extreme damage values but with 70 rounds per gun only offers a very limited supply of ammunition. The decisive factor for the choice of armament is whether you want to use the Prowler as a stealth dropship or whether you want to switch the stealth component to military variant and go straight into open combat. Let's move on to the interior and the special features of the Esperia Prowler. The Prowler's fundamentally very low energy signature reduces the likelihood of being detected by enemy radar and scanners, and enables covert infantry operations. During descent and landing, the very good low-altitude maneuverability, as well as the use of gravlev technology, which has not yet been implemented, enables precise positioning of the ship. This should enable a very low hover approach, similar to the gravlev bikes. However, this feature is so far only purely visual through the rounds of gravlev generators in play. The 16 drop stations provide enough space to safely transport infantrymen to combat areas. Here we find 8 direct exits at the station, as well as a large rear ramp, which allows the infantry to be deployed quickly. Special shields enclose the doors and exits to prevent decompression of the atmosphere even in space. At the end of the lower level, we find another access per ladder and a co-pilot seat, which offers identical control possibilities to the pilot seat in the upper deck. Further, we find 16 weapon compartments disturbed around the lower deck. The seats in the cockpit are one of the few areas that have been significantly modified for human use and are specially secured when in use to make it difficult to take out the pilots. Through a ladder, we reach the upper area, where the ship components are accessible from inside and the pilot seat is located. In this area, we would like to have a lockable hatch to the lower deck, as well as a bed and a minimum of amenities. Space for this would be available. The cockpit has 4 MFDs, as well as the peculiarity that we can only use a purely electronic view to the outside. The Prowler does not use a transparent cockpit like most other ships. This one relies on cameras that display the surroundings on screens in the cockpit. This offers the advantage of a much higher level of protection for the pilot, but the disadvantage that in the event of a power loss or the use of distortion weapons, up to and including EMP, outward vision is only possible if the corresponding systems are functioning. The Prowler is definitely something special. Let's move on to the Esperia Prowler's combat capabilities. Even if the purpose of the Esperia Prowler as a stealth dropship is not direct confrontation in space or atmospheric combat, the technical data and the extremely powerful armament offer the option of also using this bird of prey for combat. For this, however, it is advisable to replace the stealth components with corresponding military versions. This increases the combat value of the Prowler considerably, and apart from the very limited capacitor energy for weapons, we can thus fall back on a powerful overall package. However, especially with an energy loadout, it should be noted that the capacitor energy is only sufficient for about 6 shots per size 5 laser cannon. Therefore, a corresponding ballistic variant may be preferable depending on the intended use. Here we are then not struggling with an energy shortage, but with ammunition shortage, since the size 5 ballistic cannons have only 70 rounds each. In addition, the Prowler cannot fall back on missiles and unfortunately currently suffers from several sporadically occurring bugs. Among other things, we often cannot use countermeasures against missile attacks, although the Prowler has a variety of countermeasures available for all areas. In the area of maneuverability and agility, the Prowler offers good values for its size, which it can also play off in combat. With small and medium-sized opponents, the available weapon energy is also sufficient to take out individual opponents usually at the first approach. Against larger targets, however, a controlled use of weapon energy or ammunition is essential. The defensive qualities are limited, as the 2 size 2 shield generators offers only limited protection and enveloping hit points are clearly below average. Here, a Cutlass Black already offers significantly more taker qualities. In the medium and long term, however, the Prowler offers a considerable defensive advantage through the use of the Tevarin phalanx shields or alternatively the full functionality of the Benu Zucaron shields, which are installed up to this point. This will provide either short-term complete damage blocking or for the Zucaron shields significant general resistance to ballistic damage. The future of the Prowler is therefore rather positive, as it currently suffers from too many weaknesses and bugs. Even the exclusive quantum flight animation can't make up for that. But let's move on to the Prowler's actual purpose, which is to be used as a dropship. Due to its design, the Prowler offers a wide range of cover options for dropping troops not only in the area of the stern ramp, but also on land, which makes it much easier to gain a foothold in a hot landing zone. In addition, the 8 additional exits on the sides create a variety of possibilities for safely dropping troops. However, with the single remote turret we have only very limited possibilities to clear the landing zone with the ship's armament or to provide fire support. Here, other dropships offer much more fire support. And the area of effect is rather limited. Now we come to the atmospheric flight and the conclusion. Due to the downward folding main engines, the Prowler offers enormous thrust in vertical flight, upwards as well as downwards, which enables a fast takeoff and landing. This offers very good flight characteristics in the atmosphere and allows the Prowler to act in a controllable manner. However, the appearance of this bird of prey gives the impression of greater agility and maneuverability than we can ultimately use. For the size of the Prowler, however, these values are still sufficient. In conclusion, the Esperia Prowler is a very expensive stealth dropship, which has interesting features, but in some cases these are not yet being implemented. The enormous damage potential is curtailed by a limited capacitor energy, which makes a sensible tuning of the components for the respective purpose necessary. For Tevarin fans and players who specialize in ground combat, we recommend an in-game purchase, as $440 for what is currently on offer is simply too high.